Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Hoo, hoo. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Hoo, hoo. What is going on, the Bomb Squad? Or, I should say, what is up, Dog Pound? This is Don the Bomb back. Not for a food review, or an action figure review, or not some stupid short. This is my first attempt at a NFL football predictions video. I am going to make some comments and predictions for my 2024 Cleveland Browns. I have been a lifelong Cleveland Browns fan. Of course, it's a big pity party for me because in the last 25 years especially, it has been nothing but heartbreak, disappointment, 0-16, 1-15, and you know what? I watched every single game. I don't think I missed a single game. Maybe one because of a funeral, and, well, some things are definitely more important than football. But Browns football, okay, that's a little bit still more important. So, yes, I've suffered through much heartbreak and disappointment. Matter of fact, my earliest memories of the Cleveland Browns was the classic 1980, I guess it was January of 81, they call it the Red Right 88 game, where Brian Sipe threw an interception in the end zone with less than 20 seconds left, and the Browns were only trailing by 2. A field goal would have won against the Oakland Raiders in I believe it was the divisional AFC playoff game. It was 11-5, the record was. They were back in the playoffs for the first time in a few years. But that was my introduction to Cleveland Browns football. And then there was the drive and the fumble, idiot John Elway. Then the Browns leaving. Oh my goodness, heartbreaking disappointment. Art Modell taking them to Baltimore. And of course, of the Ravens ever since they moved from Cleveland have enjoyed very much success. Super Bowl wins, winning years almost every single season. Oh my goodness. Getting beat up by Pittsburgh all the time, and Baltimore, and everybody else. So, the tide has slowly been turning. Last year, the 2023 season, we were 11-6, but then we got rudely knocked out of the wild card round by the Houston Texans. I believe it was 45-14 or some grotesque score. So the heartbreak and disappointments continued on, but hopefully this could be a new year. Yeah, right. Really. Let's see what happens. So, after the Browns lost to Houston in the playoffs, then was the offseason. There was so many key injuries in that last year. We were on like third stringers in the offensive line, and they still held up pretty good. Unfortunately, injuries are still, from last year, are still plaguing us for the beginning of this year. We're still, our quarterback, our big money quarterback, Deshaun Watson, hasn't played any preseason or anything, so this Sunday, they're going to face Dallas at home for the season opener. Hopefully, we'll be ready. Hopefully, he in particular is ready because Deshaun Watson pretty much holds the cards for how our season's going to go. Nick Chubb, unfortunately, our elite running back, he's still injured from, almost a year ago when he tore all those knee ligaments against Pittsburgh with that cheap shot. In my opinion, was a cheap shot, but, maybe it wasn't that bad. Some people say it was a cheap shot. I mean, stuff happens in football. So, unfortunately, we don't know what Nick Chubb is going to look like when he returns, and we don't know when he's going to return. I don't even think he's practicing. He's working out. The guy's a beast, but I think, the running back room after Kareem Hunt, after Kareem Hunt wasn't re-signed, we have Deontay Foreman and Naheem Hines to go with, Jerome Ford. So I'm not really comfortable with the running back room right now, minus, Chubb. So, but, then we have that, offensive line. Both tackles are still coming back from injuries. Jack Conklin, I think he's finally practicing and hopefully he'll play in week 1 and hopefully he'll be all right. Jedrick Wills, even though he, a lot of people criticize his play, he's still our starting left tackle. So, he's protecting Deshaun's blind side, so I'd be more comfortable with him than, anybody they have maybe to replace him. Which, they're talking about moving a guy over here or over there. So it's going to be interesting to see how the offensive line holds up and who they run with. So So we'll see. So some key additions for the year were we re-signed Desarius Smith, defensive end, running backs Naheem Hines and Deontay Foreman that I recently just spoke of. Quarterback Jameis Winston, who is the backup. I feel more comfortable with Jameis than I do the guys that we had last year, DTR and those other guys. It's just, I can't believe we made the playoffs. I mean, Joe Flacco was a nice signing. He basically saved the season for us, considering we were rolling with before at quarterback. Nothing against those guys, but DTR and what other the hell the other guy's name is, it slips my mind right now. But we needed to bolster that quarterback room, and they did that. And they even DTR, I guess, is going to be the third stringer now behind Winston, because we did decide to cut Tyler Huntley, who was going to be our third string quarterback. But hopefully we don't get to a third string quarterback this year, our fourth string, our fifth string. Hopefully Deshaun can surprise everybody, play the whole year well, not get injured. Fingers crossed. I don't know about that, so we'll see. Some other key additions, we traded for wide receiver Jerry Jeudy from Denver to be our second wide receiver. I guess that will push, oh my gosh, the guy we got from the Jets last year to wide receiver 3. And Njoku is our tight end. I'm not sure, the guys behind him, I don't know, how they're going to go. So we also signed Devin Bush and Jordan Hicks, 2 linebackers. We re-signed Mo Hurst and Shelby Harris, defensive linemen. The draft, we drafted in the second round Ohio State defensive lineman Michael Hall Jr., who has already gotten into trouble. So I don't know what's going to happen with him. I don't know. I guess he's on some sort of exempt list or whatever. I don't know what that means, first playing in the regular season games. So I don't know. And then we drafted offensive lineman Zach Zinter in round 3. Some of the key losses, running back Kareem Hunt, who scored so many touchdowns last year, and they must have a problem. He must have a problem with Stefanski or the front office for them not to even offer him to come back again. I don't know. There's got to be some issues there, because I would think he would be back over, Deontay Foreman. Maybe it's just a lateral move. I don't really know. We'll see how that goes. Joe Flacco, who's basically saved our year last year, he signed with Indianapolis to back up Richardson. And linebacker Sione Takitaki, which he was a pretty good rugged player. I liked his name. It's disappointing when Takitaki leaves. So, and then going to the injuries, like I said, that was a big part of how our last year, even regardless of all the injuries they had last year, to finish 11-6 was kind of amazing, especially with the offensive line being, like the third stringers. So let's hope, injuries are inevitable for any NFL team. Let's hope that, the Browns kind of get lucky with that this year. And it's just going to be hard with the array of quarterbacks that we're facing this year to duplicate an 11-6 season with the tough division that we're in. I mean, we could finish first, but the Browns could also finish last. And that's if things, just go wrong. Hell, I mean, we could be 9-8 and finish fourth. The division is that good. People want to count out the Steelers. Until they are bad, I'm never going to believe they're bad. They've had, one 500 season in 25 years or 20 years since they, maybe it was 20 years since they drafted Ben Roethlisberger back in the early 2000s, and they beat the hell out of the Browns almost every year, sometimes twice a year. The Bengals are going to be tough with Burrow. Who else? Well, Baltimore. They're always tough. So come here. Oh, there's my dog, Sophie. She's not a Browns fan, but I'm going to convert her. She's not a Steelers fan or a Ravens fan. She just don't like football. Or she just don't look at the TV when the TV's going on. So it could be just what a dog does. But she doesn't watch the football games when they're on. So still be as it may. She can watch whatever she wants to watch, Paw Patrol or whatever. But hopefully she's with me while I'm enjoying some Browns victories this year. So another interesting thing was just recently, within the month or so, the Browns were in at least according to the rumors said, actively pursuing a trade with Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver from the 49ers, but I guess the Browns weren't on the top of his list, and he ended up re-signing with the 49ers anyway for a lot of money. So So I think we were going to try to trade. Well, who were we going to try to trade? I think it was Amari Cooper had to be included in that trade if we were going to trade for Ayuk, and we just kind of signed him to that, big 1-year contract. So he had a great season for us last year, and that's with 5 different quarterbacks. So hopefully him and Watson can get some sort of camaraderie going. But I have a feeling that the offense is going to be slow out of the gates with, Watson not playing any preseason games, with that, makeshift offensive line still getting back from injury. In my opinion, the lackluster running backs, they're okay. I don't think they're any better than average, but they're going to have to be at least average to get us through. And Watson's got to be, hopefully we can see 2020 Deshaun Watson and not anything other than that. Unless it's better. But what are the chances of that? Hopefully great. But, geez, just think of all the quarterbacks on the Browns' schedule that we're going to have to face. Besides facing Lamar Jackson twice and Joe Burrow twice, they're going to start off with Dak Prescott. There's Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, the GOAT Patrick Mahomes, and our boy Tua down in Miami. So it's just a gauntlet of quarterbacks that can just tear a defense apart. And, man, it's going to be tough, no matter how good our defense is. And our defense was so good last year, kind of a big surprise. It's going to be hard for them to duplicate that again this year, especially with the quarterbacks and the teams that they have to play. And then, oh my gosh, Denzel Ward has suffered another concussion. That guy's had like 15 concussions in the last 5 years, so how much longer can he go? Luckily our defensive back depth is pretty good, but he's our best defensive back, and if he gets injured, that doesn't look good either. He can go in and out of the lineup, and luckily we have a couple good backups, but after that, it's just scary to think what injuries can do. But once again, every team is in that position. So it all starts Sunday against Dallas at, I guess it's not, as of today, it's no longer Cleveland Browns Stadium. What is it now? Nationwide Stadium or Nationwide Field House? So who the hell knows? I can't remember. But that was recent news as of today. They're talking about building a dome stadium in Brook Park, which is about 20 miles south of Cleveland. They say that the current building, even though it's 25 years old, that it's fallen apart, and I guess it's something that just has to be done. So it's better to get out of the way now. The lease expires for the Cleveland Browns Stadium, or whatever the hell it's called, in 2028. So it's a big thing going on. So they got to decide what they're going to do. Hopefully, in my opinion, they build a dome in Brook Park, or at least a retractable dome, so you can still have the indoor-outdoor element. That way it'll, draw more events to, Cleveland, having an indoor stadium that has a dome. So we'll see what happens, but kind of playing the schedule game. I don't want to get game by game, but my final 2024 Cleveland Browns prediction, I think the Browns will go 10-7. That's hopefully with Deshaun Watson playing most of the year, and Chubb coming back in, week 3 or 4, whatever it could be. And, we're also one Myles Garrett injury away from being just awful. So that 10-7 record could easily be 7-10. It could be 5-12. I don't want to go in that route, but knowing the Browns and their history, their track record, that could happen very easily. And all it could take is just one key injury to someone like Myles Garrett. Once again, fingers crossed. So I think they're going to be 10-7. I don't really know. That would probably, in my opinion, put them second or third in the AFC North, probably closer to third. Maybe just missing out on the playoffs. It's a borderline playoff situation. 10-7 could be in, could be out. Just depends on how everybody else around them in the AFC goes. But we're in a tough division, so the Browns could finish first based on their talent, but they could also finish last based on everybody else's talent and the injury situation that is very, very real for every team. So 10-7 is my prediction. Let's hope the Browns can start off with a victory against Dallas at home. It'd be very disappointing to lose at home, but Dallas, they're not America's team for nothing, so they're not to be taken lightly. but we are going to take them. We'll see about that. So, well, as I like to say in all my videos, dog pound, all that glitter isn't gold, but hopefully the Browns by the end of the 2024 season will be bringing home their very first Super Bowl appearance and Super Bowl victory. Here we go, Brownies, here we go. Hoo, hoo. Right, Brownie? Oh yeah, baby. Da! Go Browns!